to go this way, down the road, you can end up adding, this is just showing them in use at a special event. But if we decided down the road, you can actually add fencing to it, or you can add signs. So if we had to close the road down for, like we're gonna close, Springboro down for flooding, I know in the past, people have driven around the barricades and ended up in the flood zone. With these, you're not gonna get around it, just, we'll fill them with water, and when they're full, they weigh about 800 pounds. When they're empty, they weigh about 75 pounds.
How do you film the
How do you replace them? Or how do you
place
fill
them,
them?
you're gonna put them out beyond town or access to water?
Right, well, I'll have to just enter into an agreement with the local fire departments and use their tankers and that. And in conversations with them in the past, when I started talking about this granite in January and February with them, they were all for it. They said they'd be able to work with me on it.
The fire department said they work with you on it?
Yeah. Yeah, so, no, you haul them empty, and there is a plug on them on the bottom. When we're done using them, you just drop the plug on them, and there you go. And we can also deploy them when they're empty. You know, if we're only gonna set them up for a temporary basis, you don't have to fill them. You know, you can just set them out there empty. It just gives people the idea, hey, this road's closed. You know, so if Paul needed them, if we were gonna shut down the road just for a short period of time, and he needed a few of them, he can use them. And so, multiple departments can use them. We can use them at the 4-H fair, we can use them at Bacon Fest, we can use them nowadays. There's multiple, you know, we have to shut the Washington Street down for whatever, we can shut that down. Old Settlers, you know, I noticed that in the past, we just put a fence up in spots, not really protecting anybody. We can
I like
just-
this.
And when I interviewed for the director's position, that was one of the things that was one of my questions that I was asked, is if I could ever come up with something like that, or acquire something like that, so. Another thing that came up was, emergency lighting, so I was able, and I'm getting 2 of those trailers.
2 of those are.
Yes, sir. And they carry 32 barriers each, so we'll have 64 of them. These are diesel powered LED towers. The masts go up 24 feet. I ended up going with the compact design one. The tow panel actually collapses in on itself, so it reduces the footprint on it when they're in storage. They run for about 240 hours on a full tank. And since they are LED, they last a lot longer, bulb wise. Wood, on the award letter, we were awarded 2 of those as well. And then the last 2 is, a real good picture of these. These are solar powered, surveillance cameras. Can be used for multiple events, and that, they are IR and some infrared. They can be used at day or night. Should we ever get a threat against any of our critical infrastructure, we can deploy these. Since it's solar, we don't have to worry about taking them out and refueling them and that. Are there some vulnerabilities with that being solar? Yeah, somebody can go up and smash the solar panel. There are sensors on them that would report back to us saying that if somebody's been tampering with them as well. And so, if the cameras ever went down to the courthouse, we could also utilize these as well. If we needed to deploy them anywhere else as well, we could use them. since these are, all 6 of these, this equipment, all this equipment is awarded on a state grant, they are district assets, so they would be deployable to other counties within our district, should, or the state if needed.
Other counties have this thing already?
No, we would be the only one in the district, and as far as I know, I don't know if anybody in the state has any. I've seen some of the deployable barriers elsewhere and that, but I haven't seen any of those. Well, light towers and that's a good, a lot of people got those.
So you've got, if you got these inside storage, they have appropriate ones.
Yes, that has an inverter on it where you can store it.
Never thought about something like that.
You got inside storage, and those batteries hooked up.
Mike, how many of the surveillance camera trailers?
So, we, 2 of each, so there's 2 of the surveillance cameras, so there'll be a total of 4 cameras, the light towers, there's 2, and then there's 2 Yoda barrier trailers.
So, what's the resolution on those cameras? Because, you know, you always see on the local news, oh yeah, somebody gets robbed, and oh yeah, they're on camera, but it's like pixelated out so much.
I didn't bring the, true zoom, it's a pan tilt zoom camera, so I mean, they're pretty good cameras. And I didn't bring it up with me, or I did get the actual, what it can zoom into.
Mike, I'm still back on the barriers here for a second.
Yes, sir.
What size, you said, you know, the picture we had there, those are the bigger ones?
Yes, sir. So the dimensions on those barriers, they're 6 foot long, 18 inches wide, and
32.
32 inches high.
And there's.
32.
On the trailer?
32 of them on each trailer. I got the 18-foot trailer with 32 Yodoc 22001M barriers on.
32 and they're 6 foot long?
Yes, so they stack up on the end. And you
You
slide
got
them.
180 feet of barrier right there. How about that? Will you use the cameras for little settlers and things like that?
Yes, sir.
outside? Just so that you have a record of what did go on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think it's pretty neat.
My only concern is right now, when the trailers, the Yodoc trailers, once I get all the paperwork done, and the money's released, it will take 10 to 12 weeks for those to come in, once we receive the money from the grant, and I get all that taken care of. And about 10 weeks for the other stuff as well, the place to park them. Because I don't have any place to park them. So that'll be one of my next projects. You gotta find a place to do that.
So in the meantime, before we have a building put them in, you're just gonna cover them with tarps or what?
I don't even have a park to put them in, sir. I gotta find a location to do that.
We'd have plenty of room in the museum.
Plenty of room in the museum, put a garage door in and back them in, huh?
There was, I've had one conversation with one farmer, they've got a hoop hutch that they'd be willing to rent to us for a while.
Is it in a convenient location?
It's centralized in the county, but it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Maybe you want them out in the middle of nowhere, though, you don't want somebody bothering them.
Right.
Huh?
Might turn the cameras off.
Yeah, we're using the be using those cameras.
Have those cameras broadcasted anywhere, or are they just?
They are,
recorded?
no, so there is a 2-year Wi-Fi, subscription that comes with it, so I can have it broadcast to my vehicle and to my office. Or even to my phone as well. So all I gotta do is pull it up and I can see what's going on.
Sheriff have access to that?
I can get them access to it, yes.
It'd be good for the sheriff's department to have access. Looks good.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate it.
And then on the CARES update, as you know, the CARES Act committee has been formed and has met a couple times. And right now, we've had a lot of conversations and a lot of thought process has been going into how to wisely spend the money that the federal government has passed to the state, who has passed down to us. So the first couple things that we have brought, that we have agreed upon and that we're bringing forward to you guys for approval is the purchase of 4 portable vents for EMS. That cost is, and there's quotes in there, in that folder for you guys, it's under the CARES section. And the cost for those is $53,749.
So that number down
And that is for the 4 portable vents.
here. What are these?
They're portable ventilators.
Yeah. Oh, for like smoke, or you get smoke out of the
No,
building?
this is for,
Oh,
if you actually have, yeah, and Doug would be here to explain the technical side of that if he was not at that, because there are victims in that fire. And I can't explain the whole
but if somebody is overcome by smoke or something.
smoke,
Chemical.
or if you needed, if somebody needs to be ventilated, this is what these are for. And just not for smoking that, but for, if they need to be ventilated, if they need to breathe, and you need to be vented to breathe, that's what this is for. The other is, the county did purchase some, monitor defibrillators last year, but 2 of them will no longer be certified by the FDA next year. So is, this purchase of these 2 monitor defibrillators will, bring all of our monitor defibrillators into certification with the FDA. So the purchase of those 2 monitor defibrillators is $71,000, $473.90. And then the third item is a health incident trailer.
I didn't get what?
A health incident trailer is the third thing. The health incident trailer will be not only a health incident trailer for the health department, but what we did is, what can we do to get the most use out of everything? We had a plan for this pandemic, future pandemics, and future incidents. So when we start looking at this, right now, once we get in the immunization phase of this pandemic, the point of distribution locations for the county right now are the schools, is what the health department has identified. In conversations with Valerie, it's really doubtful that the schools are gonna let us use the school as a distribution point for the vaccine for COVID. Because you might have COVID positive people going into the schools and they're not gonna let that. So where are we gonna do it? This is a mobile site. And this was sent to you guys last week as well. And there's diagrams in it further back in there. There's a clean side and what they call a dirty side in there. And I just wanted to give you a brief overview of on the outside of it. It's ADA accessible. The nurses on the clean side is where all the immunizations and stuff are kept. people come in on what they call the dirty side, they get all their information taken, they receive their immunization and leave. The sharps are kept on that side, they go back, get their more immunizations, and they come back. How often we're gonna have pandemics, we don't know. How often are we gonna keep having other issues, we don't know. So how can we also use this trailer for other issues? We could also use it, for instance, in a command trailer when not being used for this. So we're using it as a multi-use trailer. We could use it for, Bacon Fest, 4-H trailer, we could use it if we had another, drowning. We could use it when we have missing people, we could use it for when the floods come again. And when FEMA comes down, for people to come and do their individual systems where they can meet with FEMA. The uses could be endless for it. So this is the other recommendation that the committee had came to unanimously, and there was a lot of discussion on this one as well. So these are the three projects that, at this time, and each commissioner meeting, we will be coming with you with more recommendations for your approval.
Okay, at what point do you need our approval of this?
So, right now, all I need today is, yes, you guys recommend it. There is no, signature that I have right now because I'm working the final numbers with these guys on the cost of the trailer. The definite cost of the monitor and defibrillators is that cost. And I'm also getting some clarification with IFA and the attorney that we contracted with on that reimbursement form that we have to fill with the CARES Act for the reimbursement. So as soon as I get that, sir, and I get the solid numbers, I'm gonna get that form finished, filled out, and get it to Auditor Myers, and we'll get it called to you and get your signature on it. But for right now, all I need is a blessing to go forward with these, to get the invoices in so we can get it rolling. And the reason why these three are important is because of the timelines. It's taken about 8 to 12 weeks for them to come in.
What do you think, Warren?
Well, I think Mike's put a lot of effort into this. And Mike's done some amazing things here in the past few months. Let's go beyond his Call of Duty. I want to commend him on that, and I think other people recognize that also. So, Mike's preparing us for some things that can happen. We're basically unprepared because it has happened. We don't know what's gonna happen next, so I think any equipment we can get for these grants, we need to pursue.
We have been told both ways that, one commissioner can sign or, more than one, and I believe it should be brought to a commissioners meeting and voted on to move forward. So I think that's kind of what we'd like to have today, even though with the trailer, it might be just a slight bit difference, but if you believe in the trailer, you could approve a purchase of a trailer at a certain cost, so we can get this going, because we need to start inputting some plans and not wait to put them all in at one time, is what other auditors are doing, and, we just had some, it's depending on the delivery date for the trailer, right? And when we can get that, and we have to have everything in motion by December 31st, I don't know, 30th. So,
And we've been getting conflicting information between the attorney and IFA on the funds need to be expended by that day. But do we have to have everything in hand that day? And so we're trying to get the clear guidance, and getting the responses back from everybody is what is the hang up.
and the trailer is kind of the hang of it, but he has a backup
Yes.
that could deliver also, it just depends, it's about the same amount of money.
They'll the backup, which I'll get the quote tomorrow, will probably come in at a little bit less. It won't be as fancy as that one, but it might come in a little bit less. If we go full bore on the trailer that I showed you, that one is $98,565.12. It's an expensive trailer.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of equipment. That comes fully, it is, fully wired for computers and radio at that time. It comes in completely together.
So it kind of like yours last time.
Well, now, I echo what the Warren said. I appreciate all this, and it looks like we're gonna be much better prepared by having this than we have, ever have been before. And, so as far as the blessing, I mean, we're, I think, 100% behind this. You need a motion to, continue. If that's what you're seeking, we can do that.
I think we'd all feel better on that committee if we had a motion to move
Okay.
forward with an ordering and at least those
That's
three
my motion,
things.
is what's we present this morning. The package here, which package, top,
Yes, sir. It'd be the full radio package and the computer package.
I believe it's the last two.
Last
It was,
package.
yeah, the last two packages, and that's what takes it to the $98,565.
education supposed to be that one package.
Yes, sir.
So if we have that amount and it doesn't come into that, at least we're covered and we're
Right.
go down,
Right.
even if we have to move on these packages.
If my conversation with them today, if they cannot deliver until next year, then I'll have to go to my backup to make sure that it's here, which theirs doesn't come with all that, so of course the price will come down. So most definitely the price will not exceed the $98,565.12.
Which is all transferred.
Yes, sir.
So your motion is?
The equipment that you requested this morning, presented this morning, go ahead with that.
Yes, sir.
I will second that. Usually I have Steve or Lauren do the seconding, but I'll second it. And then call for a vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. 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 We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mike, while you're working together, sir.
I know Cassie's working that fire, so she's probably,
I'm excited about this. I look forward to seeing these things.
thank you, sir.
Cassidy is probably looking at, and,
Sure, if you want me to stick around.
I can tell you what she really would like to do. She wants to talk about making some changes to the application process for the job application.
Okay.
She's saying that if she could advertise it like on Facebook and, you know, and send her own application out, people can get the application online and on her webpage. I told her that there was nothing wrong with her advertising on Facebook, I mean, other departments do, but we have to advertise that we do also.
Which means publishing the paper.
Well, they can, or we publish it for 14 days in the courthouse and we put it on our website. The other thing too was she wanted them to return the application to her. After talking to Kent Irwin, he said most auditors or HRs have them return the application back to the auditor / HR. And there was a reason we put that in the personnel policy. It's because it protects the applicant and it also protects the department head. But I also told her I didn't have a problem with them sending it electronically to her and to me, or to our office. So I don't know whether that satisfied her or not, but my thing is also, I've asked several times to rename
would be the reason that she would have to, not want it turned into the auditor's office?
I think right there, they were there or something, they could just fill it out or whatever, but the rule is that we have to have at least a copy. So, I mean, if she gets it and they bring it over, there's no problem.
Yeah.
A lot of people do give it to the department heads, but all the department heads are responsible to get it to us also. Even the ones that they do not hire, we're supposed to get all of those. So,
I would figure that,
You keep them on file,
for a certain amount of time, and we destroy them.
and you should have a copy.
Plus, it helps with other departments, I mean, we don't just give it to other departments. For instance, I would call so-and-so and say, hey, we do have an opening here, if you would like me to give them a copy of your application, I will do so, if not, then they say yes or no. But, she might want to talk more on that, I don't know.
yeah, well, we should have her come in if she can.
Okay, and she might come later, I don't
She
know.
might. Before I ask for the sheriff, Mike, or John, I'm sorry, back here. I couldn't hear what that, what's her name? Yeah, Lisa Boo was, saying to you, but I just wanna make, I don't wanna belabor this, but I wanna make one comment on it. That is, Lisa has been, part of this argument for quite a while. And she is one though that she feels like that, and I'm sorry she's not here, because I'm not talking behind her back, I would just say this to her too. She feels like that we commissioners should be able to just step in and do something. Well, our form of government is limited government, not overpowering government. And I don't think it'd be a good idea to have commissioners that are so powerful that they can control everything about your land or your neighbor's land or somebody else's land. And that's what she really feels like we should be able to do. Well, I'm sure we could all cite examples of where that, yeah, that'd be a good idea, but overall, that's not a good idea. And I don't want that power, and I don't want people to follow me to have that power, to tell me what I can do and can't do with my land. So, when she says, you know, that you're not gonna get anything through here or through the county or anything like that, it's because she's frustrated that we don't just fix the situation, but by statute, we follow the rules that are the state statutes. We're just a subset of the state. The county is not an entity that survives all by itself, and we govern ourselves and all that. We govern by the rules of the state. And so, you know, we're gonna follow those rules, and sometimes they don't turn out the way we want them to, or sometimes they do. I just wanted you to know that, her and I think her and the commissioners often are at odds because she feels like we should just step in and do something, and we can't. Okay?
The one thing, like I was talking with Sheriff Toby here, it's like, how am I gonna, what was the result on your end on, are you guys gonna look into this about the CAFO, or who is, what did we ever resolve at your end about somebody contacting CAFO?
Well, first of all, I would like somebody bashing CAFOs. I didn't hear what you said right there.
No, what is, I didn't get the I don't know, okay, I presented my deal and I finally realized, wow, how am I gonna get feedback from you? Or will I, or are you guys gonna actually maybe do something to contact that, owner to like look into, like an official?
Okay.
To look over the facility and why it is emitting the
I don't have any
horrible
more
stench.
right to walk into his facility and,
So I'm not gonna get any action from you guys, is that what pretty much?
well, no, I don't think that that's necessarily the case, but I would like for you to work with Miriam here and have her contact him. And if you do not get a result that you want, come back to us. Okay, but that's the first step. And then we can look into what we can do, but
Okay, so nothing right now, I won't get any feedback from you guys other than what we discussed, and which is,
only,
okay, I got you.
only if this doesn't work. She has amazing ability to speak to the agricultural community, and if she expresses to them that they need to do something, usually it gets done. A different example of that is, we had an area here where, because of the shape or corner on the highway south of town out here, not because of the farmer, but because of the highway, it was difficult to see around an intersection. And she was in the meeting, and she contacted that farmer right away and said, look, there's a problem here with people seeing around that, and it's coming up in public meeting. That afternoon, the corn was cut, so you could see around the intersection better. I mean, the problem was, 99% alleviated that afternoon. And I have a degree of confidence that she can help you quite a bit on this.
That's why I figured that happened, she contacted
Yeah, yeah,
the right person, and
yeah.
that community got cleared up. I appreciate that. I gave you credit for that, Mary.
I appreciated that, and I'd much rather things work out from us all working together rather than heavy hand of somebody coming in and saying something. And what we would have to do if you do not have something work out is we would have to ourselves approach IDEM and those and say, look, you need to come out and look this over, and they will come out if we would call them. They will come out and review what's being done and all that.
Was that like
Huh?
a citizen can't request that to IDEM?
You
IDEM
can
won't
request
listen
that
to a
just as well,
citizen,
sure.
but when a county commissioner group will do it, then they consider fees for it.
Sometimes you get better results out of the commissioner's call, and sometimes you do it yourself and it does just as good. It just depends on the incident, but that is available to you. If you continue to have an unbearable situation, we can contact for you IDEM and have them come out and review everything. They're the ones who really have the power over it. Our power would be to influence area plan for larger setback, which is a bureaucratic thing. Okay, is that gonna help you any to say that the next one has to be farther away? No, it's not gonna help you a bit. It'd be the next one that would impact. And if we get the setbacks too big, then we're gonna really be, affecting the agricultural community's ability to, to do what they need to do. So we gotta work both ways here. And I would just much rather that you and Miriam get this worked out with that farmer, rather than us having to more or less bring in the feds on the whole thing. But that option's available, come back. And we welcome you at any meeting here, so just walk in and talk to us, okay?
Thank you.
Please call and get on the agenda though, if you've got a certain, idea or problem. It's nice to have it on the agenda so everybody knows, because that agenda goes out to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I did that already once, right? I know how to-
Thank you. Sheriff, we're ready for you.
Morning, gentlemen. First of all, before I jump into what I'm here to present, I wanted to circle back around and I guess outwardly provide some discussion, at least Cassie and I had concerning this application process. It's just something to consider or think about, but Cassie and I guess both agree that obviously with our application process in general, most folks come here, pick up an application. I know that they can access it also online, but then they have to turn around and either mail or physically bring it back here. So if, I like the idea that was brought up a little bit ago, possibly being able to provide that in an electronic form.
We've always done that.
Okay, And I think that would, if anything, maybe draw more applicants in, whether it's for our department, 911, county highway, anybody. I think if we can open up other, more, I guess I'll call flexible avenues, that folks can apply for positions, that we may get a larger pool of applicants coming into us versus, what we currently have. So maybe a slight amendment to the personnel policy to include, additional alternatives or direction that, individuals can both apply and submit their application on. So just my, general comment regarding that, at least talks that Cassie and I were having.
I wanna comment on that too, it's just because it's not in a personnel policy, doesn't mean that the department heads aren't doing it, because they are doing it. I mean, I've done it, I've sent apps to a lot of different people. I even think Mike Fincher applied online one time, so we've done that, it's not against the rules really, it's just not in the personnel policy.
We're willing to look at the policy and go through it. I mean, that policy is not set in stone. We can fix problems that are in there with it. I have to, in my mind, question if somebody's not, aggressive enough to go get the application, fill it out, turn it back in the right place, do we want them anyway?
Right, I hear you.
And also, there's a lot of times where the application is not turned into the auditor's office, they go directly to that department and they accept it. We don't go down there and sit them in the corner or anything, we just say, we need a copy of it, so.
Yeah.
It's a damn around, I guess.
Okay.
All right, now to, what I'm here for, EMA Director Fincher contacted me after the, last, commissioners meeting on the 7th in regard to, a civil unrest policy, and, I agree with him that, it falls into my corner as sheriff. And so what I did, I quickly, reached out to my brother sheriffs throughout the state, and this is a new thing in nationwide, with the civil unrest, if you will, and policy and procedures that relates to it. And, rather, I've always been about, if I can avoid having to reinvent the wheel, I'm all about that. And so I reached out to several sheriffs throughout the state of Indiana and asked if they had a current policy and procedure in place as it relates to civil unrest. As to be expected, there are very few. Like many sheriffs throughout the United States, this is all new territory. So I have received a couple of those policies and procedures from other counties in the state, and am currently actually, if you will, finalizing a policy and procedure that will be sheriff's office, which will encompass the courthouse and county properties in our capacity to protect those properties should we potentially have civil unrest come upon the county. Right now, I'm not hearing of anything. Granted, I think there's a lot of concern with the upcoming elections and how that may turn out. And so I am working on a policy and procedure, and again, working to finalize that well before the elections, and I'll report back to you once we have that in place. I have to admit, candidly, that I'm somewhat reluctant to share the whole policy. I think you can understand that we don't want to show all of our cards, if you will, and how we would respond, but we would have a policy and procedure in place. So that is something that I am spearheading along with some consultation from EMA Director Fincher, particularly with his military background. And at this point, we feel like we have a good plan in process. So.
It is not inconceivable that we would have something
Possible. So, we would hope that it would stay in the greater metropolitan areas out of our county, but
all right.
you just never know. So, but I just wanted to update you on where we are at this point.
I have read, though, that one of the policies, or one of the things has been discussed by the Black Lives Matter movement, or the corporation itself, that entity, is to get it out to more rural areas, right? So that they can make, people realize that it's, their cause is bigger than just urban areas now. I just hope it doesn't come here.
Right. As you well know, under Indiana law, it's the sheriff, and any sheriff can actually, deputize people of good moral character within the county, and bring them on board should he or she need that additional assistance in a time of crisis. So I also have that available to me if it ever came down to that.
When you compile a list, it's just your list for that, is that what you?
I would provide the information as to who I'm bringing on board, yes. Yes.
Okay,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Ted?
Yes, sir. There's a document that, couple of documents that require your action. One is, this relates to the salt barn. And, the money's been appropriated for it, and, the documents that you have, there are a sales disclosure form and a deed, quitclaim deed. Normally, the grantee of the deed doesn't sign the deed, but because there are, waivers of liability of the state of Indiana, waiving state liability for the condition of the property, they have worded this to be signed by commissioners as well as by highway engineer. And so, you need to approve the, authorize the execution of the deed, and sign the deed today, if possible. I don't know if we wanna bring Tara in or not, if she will notarize their signatures without,
Sure.
pardon me?
She has notarized them without, but I can bring her in, it doesn't matter.
It's up to her, if she's okay with doing that, she doesn't have to come in. So, first thing is to, authorize the execution of quitclaim deed for the salt barn property, which is approximately 15 acres. That'd be the first motion.
The motion is what?
To authorize, to approve the quitclaim deed and authorize the commissioners to, sign the deed. Authorize the commissioners and highway engineer, and I understand Paul may have already signed it.
It's an envelope, he's already signed his.
All the sign going in?
Yeah.
It's an envelope, I have it separate.
Oh.
Steve's not here, so.
He has already signed, and, Tara will notarize his signature too, probably.
Steve has not.
Paul's not signed it?
Steve.
Steve Pearson.
Oh, Steve.
Steve Pearson.
You don't have to have more than, two signatures on it. If Steve is able to come in, at a later date before we send it, I don't know if we wanna hold off until he does or not, but it's sufficient if two commissioners sign it.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
We still have the option to sign if he wants to, or make that.
This starts, once the deed's signed by the commissioners and the highway engineer, it goes down to Indianapolis. And even though they prepared the deed and it's been approved by their council, it still's gotta go to the governor. And they said these are taking weeks, months before they get them back, so, the sooner we get it started, the better, so. That's board's discretion, if you wanna, see if Steve can, come in and sign it after hours,